Hi guys, Ron here from Australian RV Accessories, and today I'd like to go through some troubleshooting with the GSWH2 Instantaneous Hot Water Service. Most people don't realise that when they're out free camping and that the hot water service is a little bit different to the hot water service at home. You generally don't run out of 240 volts at home and water and gas. Whereas when you're free camping in a caravan or RV, you're relying on your battery power, you're relying that you do have enough water in your tank, and that you are relying that you have enough gas in your gas bottle. So generally, when you go to use the unit, make sure that the unit is in the on position. This is the switch here, is in on. If for any reason the unit doesn't turn on straight away, check the fuse in here. Not very often that fuse ever goes, but do check the fuse. Again, once you turn the unit into the on position, nothing happens. Then we have generally around 4 things that we reckon that most of the time is the issue. The first one is that when you turn the system on and using this to adjust the temperature, if the lights don't light up on your actual manual here, you might find that it's generally your battery voltage is too low. Generally it means you've got to recharge your battery. Also, the fan. If the battery is too low, this is a small electronic fan that sits in here, it's a sensor. If it doesn't sense that the blower is working, basically the unit won't turn on. So again, voltage is very important for those two, as well as your ignition point for the spark. The biggest one that we find that most people have an issue with is the flow meter at the rear of the unit. The unit is designed that it will turn off or not turn on if the water is lower than 3 litres per minute. So what you need to do is to make sure that the mains pressure you're using has got plenty of water going through it, also that your tank is full and there's plenty of water going through this flow switch. What happens sometimes is people don't realise is when they've got a pump and the water's pumping through, most of them should be with one of these shore flow filters or other filters. Now this filter here, this can get blocked up quite regularly, and this slows the water flow down, which affects the unit. So that just needs to be cleaned under some water and put back on. Generally no issue then. If you don't have a filter on there, this is where we find that people have a bit of trouble. There's another filter at the back of the unit. This is on your water intake side. There's a small gauze filter in here. Basically what happens is that the pump can pick up swarf or other foreign materials or objects or anything like that. If it blocks that filter, the unit won't turn on or it won't perform properly. You need to pull that filter out and clean it and put it back in. You must put that filter back in. If you do not put that filter back in, and any foreign swarf or objects that come through from your tank or from mains, wherever, goes through, it lodges into this. Now this has a very small little spinning wheel inside. You can hear it spin. What happens is it jams in there. Now that tells the unit that if that's not spinning, there's no water flow. Even though water may be coming out of your faucet, with this not spinning, the unit will stop. So it's very important to make sure that that filter is in place and clear. And the easiest way to do that at the start is to actually have your shore flow or other filter on the front of it. If you've now gone through all of those and the unit still doesn't work 100%, gas. A lot of people say, oh, turn the gas on in the stove and the stove's working no problem. The stove only uses probably around 8,000 BTU. The unit itself uses 42,000 BTU, so if you're getting low on gas, the stove may still work, but the unit won't. Rectify, obviously, to fill up gas. So we've had a few people that have bought units in that have said, oh, it's not working now, and all we've done is swap the gas bottle over, and guess what? It works. Not very often, but sometimes as well, outside of the hot water service, is your dual diaphragm on the front of the caravan. We don't get a lot of issues, but there was a while ago where there was some malfunctions with them, and there are 160 megajoule dual diaphragms there, that something was going wrong with those and it was upsetting the gas flow through to the unit, and they needed to be replaced. But not often, but it is something to check. With the actual circuit board that's on the front here, just in here, when you turn the unit on, if something's happening, open up the unit and see if this light is on. The light there will be on in a green. Now if it is in green, then the unit generally is ready to go and that the circuit board is okay. In very few instances, it may be in somewhere in the control panel, but very, very few instances. Another thing that we make sure people do is when they're putting the unit away for winter storage and that sort of thing, you generally need to drain your tanks and make sure your faucet is open to protect the freezing inside of the unit. If you're in really cold areas, you can leave the unit on. It has an anti-freeze system that basically, if it gets down to about 3 degrees at 4 o'clock in the morning, the unit will turn on for approximately 10 seconds. We'll just heat the water a little bit inside the unit to protect itself. Now you can leave that on. If not, it's easy just to turn everything on and leave the faucet open. It does say in the manual if you can get an air line to flush out the lines. At the end of the day, we find that most people just leave the faucet open and then you have no issues. It does have a water tap here. In freezing conditions, this is set to full. If you do want to get the water a little bit hotter, you can reduce this, but what we find is people, if they reduce this and the water flow goes in, they forget that when they get to summer, the water gets too hot. So generally I recommend to leave that always in the full open position. And if you want the water to be hotter, just adjust the faucet and lower the faucet down a little bit. That will generally always get you to the desired 50 degrees. Obviously in winter when it's really cold, you may be down to only 3 litres, where in summer you might be getting 4.5, 5 litres at 50 degrees. The unit itself comes with 2 owner's manuals. It comes with an owner's manual, and then it also comes with this manual here, which is a technical manual. It lists out error codes from 1 to 9. These error codes basically will go through as a fault diagnosis. Error 1 is the one that we generally find people ring up about. Now, error 1 is generally that you are running out of gas, you're low in power on the unit itself. There are other E-code errors which are generally into the gas valves and sensors. Very, very rarely do we ever have an issue with these at all. So generally it's that error 1, and if that error 1 comes up, if you go through those 3 things, basically the water, the voltage and the gas, then you generally don't have an issue. Now, parts-wise for the units, we carry all these spare parts. We can ship these all over Australia. We have a customer team that can come back with you and ring if you want to have any of your problems resolved and that sort of thing. Read the manuals though. If you've got the manuals, read the manuals because they're very, very helpful. So any other things, you can ring our customer support team, and enjoy and safe travels.